Hello everyone and welcome to Merlin's Manor. Today we're going to be looking at some games that are family friendly, that our family enjoys playing, and I think your family will enjoy playing as well. So stick with me as we go through this list of 7 games that are family friendly. The first game I have on my list has been a top request of my kids of late, and it's called the Downfall of Pompeii. And this is a game that is about the time when Vesuvius erupts and destroys the city of Pompeii. The first stage of the game is populating the city of Pompeii, and what you're going to do is you are going to take one of your 4 cards that you have in your hand, and for instance this one here is a 6, and it is kind of a turquoisey kind of color here, and you're going to put somebody in the number 6 building if you wanted to use that. So you take one of your little, these look like pillars here, and you're going to put that, let's say, in the 6 right there, and so you played that card, you put that into the discard, and then if there was already somebody in there, you could actually, let's go ahead and say this person that put the 3 here, there's somebody already at the 3, they can put 1 in the 3, and then they can also then put 1 into any purple or one of these beige colored ones. And so let's say that person did that, and then they could put somebody over here in this beige colored one, or they could have put 1 in another one of the purple colors. And so you want to make sure that you are putting 1 in the same room as somebody else in there in order to do that. Now, one thing you always want to make sure when you are going to Pompeii is that you always set your alarm for Volcano Day. And the deck actually does that for you. You'll have one 8079 card come up, and that is going to be the warning that we are starting into the main part of the deck there, and at some point along the way, Volcano Day is going to come. And then when the second 8079 card comes up, that means that the populating of Pompeii is over, the volcano is erupting, and now it is time to escape. But before we get to that, there's one other card I want to talk about, and that is the Omen cards. Now there are 7 Omen cards that are going to be in the game, and they look like this. And when you are playing cards, you'll play 1 card to put your person in, and then you'll pick up from the pile. And if that card happens to be an Omen card, then you get to go ahead and take somebody else's pillar and throw it into the volcano. Now when you get an Omen card, you will immediately discard the Omen card and draw another card up to 4 cards. If another Omen card comes up, well then you get to do that a second time. And so this is kind of a fun aspect of the game where you get to kind of go after some of the other players to try and keep them from being able to beat you. It doesn't come up too often, only like I said, up to 7 times if we even get through all the Omen cards. Now when the 8079 card comes up, that means that you are done with that stage of the game, and now you are going to go into the second stage of the game, which is the escape from Pompeii. And the first thing that's going to happen in the escape from Pompeii is everybody is going to go around, and you're going to go around through 6 people, 6 turns, and place one of these tiles. They're going to be drawn out of a bag, and you'll draw that tile out of the bag, and you will put it based on what the symbol in the corner is. Like this one, we have this vase, and it would go on the corresponding vase symbol. Now if there was another vase that came out, then you would put that on anyone that's adjacent to that vase symbol. Otherwise, if something else came out, like a scroll is another one, then you put that where the scroll is. You've got this coin here as well, would go on the coin one. The helmet goes on the helmet, and the pillar goes on the pillar. And then whenever you draw subsequent ones of that shape, you get to choose which one it's going to go on. There's also, a mask that I forgot to mention there. So that is 6 different tiles. At that point, you are going to be trying to escape, and each turn you are allowed to move your person, the amount, depending on how many people are on that location. Like right here, there's 2 people on this location. I can move it 1, 2. And you're trying to get to the exits on the board, which are, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 exits to escape. And so you're going to be wanting to move as quickly as you can, because every turn after that, after those 6 go out there, you are going to draw one of the tiles and cover up a space, and then you're going to get to move 2 of your characters out towards the door. And so you're going to be doing that. You're going to be taking out the other players, or should I say the volcano is actually taking out the other players, but you get to choose when that happens and how that happens, and they're going to choose on their turn where to put those tiles. And so you are constantly trying to figure out what's the quickest way you can get your people out, as well as sometimes blocking other people from being able to get out or taking out their characters. And the game is over when all of the pillars, all these people, are out of the city or in the volcano. And then the scoring goes, the person that saved the most people wins the game. Now, if there's a tie, then you'll open up the volcano and see how many people are in there, and the player with the most people that have escaped, but with the least in the volcano, will win the game. And so that's how you play. It's a very simple game to play. One of the hardest parts is probably setting up the deck, and I'll leave you to figure that out for yourself, but it's one of the most complicated deck setups I think I've ever seen in my life. But that's the only really complicated part of the game, is setting up the deck. This is a game that kids can easily play. My 7-year-old loves to play it, as well as my 10-year-old. And it's just a very simple game, very simple gameplay. You put your meeples down, and then towards the end of the game, you're trying to get them out as quickly as you can. Now, another game that my kids enjoy playing is Azul, Stained Glass of Sintra. Now, there's different Azul games out there, but this is the one that appealed to us, that we decided to pick up. And it's a pretty simple game to play. What you're going to do is, first of all, the first player is the person who last washed a window. And it's kind of funny, sometimes when we go ahead and are getting ready to play this game, one of our kids will decide to run off and wash a window real quick, just so that they can be the first player. Of course, you could always just choose a random first player, just like with all those types of rules. Anyway, so whoever's the first player, what they do is they go ahead and they put the first player marker in the middle, and then they're going to get to choose from one of the things in the middle here. Let me just go ahead and show you that. So here I've got it set up for a 2-player game. And what you're going to do when you take your turn is you're going to choose from this. Let's say I wanted to choose from this one and get these 2 blues. You have to take all of that same color that's on there, and you choose those, and the other ones go in the middle. And then once you do that, you're going to go over here to your board, and this person right here lets you know where you can place your stained glass. You always have to place to the right of where you currently are. So I could place on this row or any of these other rows right now. Let's see, I wanted to grab those 2 blues, so I'm going to come here to this row, and I'm going to place these 2 blues just like that. Now in future turns, I have to either go here or further down, or I can take an entire turn to move my person back to the beginning. And so play is going to go like that, choosing different tiles and putting them on your board, trying to fill up your boards. And once it's filled, you will take one and put it down there, and you will put the rest of them in here, which is also where the broken glass goes. We'll get to that in just a moment. And then you flip that over for future use. And then once you've done that twice, that will go away, and you'll be done with that one, and you'll just be trying to fill the rest of them. Now, scoring goes this way. If you look down here at the bottom, let's say I just scored this one right here, and I'd already scored down here once. So what would happen in this case is I would count this starting from where I scored this time round, which is 3 points, and every one that I had scored previously up to that point would also count. So I'd also count 1 point for here. That would be 4 points. Now in addition, let's come over here, and these tell you about bonuses. So here in the first round, all those that are orange will actually score extra points. And so let's say I had 2 oranges, and the 3 and the 1, that would be 3 points, plus 1 point is 4, plus having scored 2 oranges would be 6 points for that score. And I would go ahead and move up on the track, 6 points. And I'd be right there. What we have over here is what's called a broken glass track. And what happens here, let's come back over here and look at these. Let's say, for the sake of argument, we had this setup going on over here. And everything that requires a yellow has 2 yellows on it, but the space where I'm trying to play that right now only has 1. Well, if I want to go ahead and do that, what I am going to have to do is just take these 2 here. One of them is going to go into the broken glass, and one of them will go onto my board. Every time you break glass, you're going to have to come on over here and move that up 1. And so that's actually negative points off of your score, so you got to be careful about breaking glass. You don't want to do that too often. Another time you break glass is the first time that somebody takes an around from the middle. You'll go ahead and pick up the first player marker. You're going to become first player next round, but you also go up 1 on the broken glass meter for that. course, you also take all of that color in the middle. That may be very advantageous for you. If you have 4 or 5 you need to fill up, and there's 4 or 5 of that color in there, it might be very worthwhile to grab from there. Plus, you get to be first player next time. So Azul is a very fun game that our kids enjoy to play, that we enjoy playing as well. It's got these beautiful tiles that you can lay down and make the matches and be able to score those points. And it's just it's a very relaxing game to play. It's not too intense, and that's part of what makes it great for kids to play. And they ask us for this game quite a bit since we just recently got it. The next game on my list is Ticket to Ride, and specifically I've grabbed Ticket to Ride London. I think they're all very kid-friendly games, but this one is especially so as it's a good bit shorter and less involved overall. And so as the regular Ticket Ride takes about an hour, hour and a half probably to play, especially with kids, this one takes about 15 to 20 minutes. And so you can get it in very easily, and it keeps attention spans very well because it's over and done with before you even realize it. And so this is what the board looks like. Again, it's much smaller than the regular Ticket to Ride, and you also have less cards being put down. There is one added addition to this version, is each of the stations actually has a number on it, and if you manage to connect all of those stations to one another, that's an additional way to score. The easiest one is the one that has the number 1 on it, and it scores you 1 point, and on up, each one scores you the amount that's on there, and it gets a little bit more difficult each time, going all the way up to 5 points. And so there's an added way to score, as well as it's a shorter map, and so there's a lot of different things that strategies that can go on there, but it's all really done really quick and doesn't overstay its welcome and doesn't overstay a kid's attention span. You can even probably get 2 of them in a row and still not overstay their attention span. And so it's a great version of Ticket to Ride, but even the regular Ticket to Ride is also a great one that they can do as well. Next game I want to talk about is Sushi Go Party. This is one of the earlier games that we had that the kids really enjoyed, and they still enjoy playing it. And it's a very simple game as well. It's a card drafting game. And what you're going to do is everybody's going to get a certain amount of cards depending on the player count, usually 9 or 10. I can't remember if you go up or higher on that, but the counts that we play with, it's 9 or 10. And what you're going to do is you're going to take one card and pass it around. And here's the different types of cards that you will take. You're going to put these different placards on here to show which ones are currently in play. These are the original ones that come with the regular Sushi Go. We have the Sushi Go Party, which I highly recommend because you can have different ones you can trade in and out depending on which ones you want to play. You're always going to play with 1 set of rolls, 2 sets of special ones, 3 appetizers, and 1 dessert, and the nigiri are always in there. And so you're going to choose each time which ones you want to play with. Here's the basic original Sushi Go lineup, and each one's going to have different things. You can kind of discover each one of those on your own. But like here, the maki rolls, the person that gets the most in that round scores 6. The person who's in second scores 3. And then the wasabi, you play that first, and you add a nigiri on that, and it triples the score for that nigiri. You have chopsticks, which allow you to take 2 things later, but then somebody's going to get stuck with those, and they're not going to count when they get stuck with them at the end of the round. The sashimi, you have to get 3 of them to get 10 points. 2 do you no good. 4, you get the 10 points, but you don't get any extra points for the extra one. Dumplings there, you kind of increase depending on how many you get there. The score kind of goes up more and more the more you get. Tempura, you need to have 2 of those to get 5 points, or 4 you get 10 points because each time you get 2 it happens. And then you've got the pudding there, which is kind of an end game thing. All the fruits all the desserts are end game scoring, and if you meet the condition at the end of the game, you get those points, and those are things that the only thing that you save from round to round. And as it says there for the pudding, you get 6 points if you have the most at the end of the game. You lose 6 points if you have the least. And so those are just kind of the basics there. And there's a whole bunch of other ones you can substitute in. And so there's a lot of replayability for Sushi Go Party, as you can have a totally different menu each time. And it's a lot of fun to play, and simple. You just grab one card that you want to hold on to. A lot of times you want to try and get similar types of cards going, and you might want to look around at what the other people are collecting and try and collect something different from them, especially if they're before you. Or you might want to collect something they're collecting if they're after you, just to kind of keep them from getting that. There's a few different ways that you can kind of play. You can be very friendly or a little bit cutthroat. A lot of times with our family that we play very friendly, we kind of focus on what we think is best for us in that moment. Of course, the kids love to go after the dessert, and a lot of times we let them just because of the fact that there's not enough dessert to go around for everybody to be able to score all the greatest amount of points. And so if they're already going to go after this, sometimes we're just going to go after the other things that will score each round and not focus as much on that end game scoring. But that's, of course, up to every individual person how they want to play that. And so like I said, it's very simple. Grab a card, and then once everybody's grabbed a card, you flip it, pass the rest of the cards down like a basic card drafting mechanism. After all the cards have been played, then you score up and then move on to the second round and then the third round. At the end of the third round, however many points you got is the winner. It has the most points. And that's all there is to Sushi Go. Very simple game, but a lot of fun as well. Another game that's a favorite of our family is the Isle of Cats. And I actually did a video on this one when I unboxed it and then reviewed it. And so you can go check that video out for more details. But this is a very easy game for kids to play. It actually has a family mode that is specifically geared towards families or those who don't want a heavier game, want a very light game. Also, it works well for. I really enjoy the fact that they included this family mode, because although my wife and I really prefer the full mode because it gives you a lot more going on and a lot more to focus on and good strategies to go along with it, it's great to have that easier mode that we can play with our kids anytime. And so it's a very simple game. All you're doing is you are getting cats that have been pulled out of the bag that you're trying to save from the island, and you're placing them on your boat, trying to make the different tiles match up. You're going to have different shapes, kind of like very much like Tetris kind of shapes, and you're going to try and make them fit on your boat, cover up areas of your boat, cover up rats that you don't want to have on your boat. Basically, the cats are chasing the rats off or eating them or whatever they do with the rats. And so that's a good thing if you can cover up those rats. You can get treasures on your boat to help fill in spaces. And you want to try and rescue as many cats as you can before the evil Vesh comes and does whatever he is going to do with the cats, which is certainly not going to be good for them. So we're trying to rescue them all. They got a new expansion coming out that's going to be exciting. And so we're going to love that. I know one of the biggest things of the new expansion is going to be kittens, and we can't wait for that. I know our kids are going to love them. They already gush all over the ones that have little kittens pictured on with the bigger cats, and they're going to love those kittens as well. And so this is a very simple game, a fun game, and it's also a bit of a relaxing game at times, especially when you're playing that family mode. And so it's a great one that you can settle down to and play with your family. Another game our kids enjoy playing that's very simple to play is Carcassonne. And what you do in Carcassonne is you have these meeples. One of them is going to start on the track here, and then you have 7 other regular meeples to start out the regular game. Or if you play the expansion, you can add an abbot in there, so you'll have 8 total. But the abbot has a special rule where he can only go on the monastery or a garden. But he's the only one that can go on the garden too, which we'll get to that in just a second to show you what that's about. So what you're going to do in this game is you're going to grab a tile like this, and you put your meeple on it if you want to, or if you don't want to, you don't have to. You'll put that down, and let's say I want to put it on the road that was on there. There's that squiggly line, I would just put it on there. And that's what happens there. And then you move on. Next person draws a tile, gets a tile like this. It's got there, the top part there is a city. You could put your meeple on that city or any of those roads down there. And what you got there also in this tile is a town that will close off the end of a road. And if both ends of a road are closed off, then you score any the meeple that you put on that road. And so you could put that on there, and you could put them on a city, let's say. And so you do that and play that tile next to the road. And you're going to have to make sure, though, as you lay all these tiles, that everything on all 4 corners matches up. If there's a road on, or all 4 sides, matches up. So if there's a road on that side, it has to match up. If there's a city, it has to match up. If there's just grass, it has to match. And so you're going to have to make sure of all of that. And so here is another tile, an example for you. This one has that garden on it, which is that bottom part there. That's a place where an abbot can go. He's the only one that can go there. And then the top part is a city. And so you'd have to match up that city onto something or the grass onto something and connect those. And of course, as you get more sides needing to be matched up, it's going to be harder and harder to find the right tiles that fit all those sides. And so as you go along, you're putting your meeples where you want to put them. Whenever a city gets closed off, you'll score that. Whenever a road gets closed off, you score that road. Whenever a monastery gets all 9 tiles around it, you can score that, and it can be an abbot or it can be a regular person on that one. Of course, the abbot, though, has a special rule where you can actually bring him back early if you want to, whereas the other ones have to stay there until there are 9 tiles or until the end of the game. Now the scoring goes this way. You get 1 point per tile of the road that you are on when you score that. And so if there's 6 tiles for that road, you'll get 6 points. City is 2 points per tile, plus you saw that shield earlier on the one we pulled up. That's actually worth an extra 2 points when you score it. Now at the end of the game though, if you score that at the end of the game because it never got closed off, it's actually only worth 1 point per tile for that city and 1 point for the shield. And at the end of the game also you can score for however many are around the abbot. There's alternate rules as well added in there for scoring by putting them in the grasslands. There's also all kinds of different expansions out there that you can add on to this game which add different things. I don't want to go into too many details about that. But basically this is a fairly simple game. You're just putting down a tile and putting one of your meeples where you can. As things close up, you score those meeples. And of course parents can help the kids figure out what the scores are there. And what you do is, here's the scoreboard here. Is you're going to start on 0 and you're just going to kind of move it along each time you score, and then at the end of the game when you score, if you get back to 0, you're going to put them flat and keep on scoring. If you get back around again, you just kind of put them kind of on his head and keep him scoring. And so you can get this accommodates all the way up to 150 points. You're not going to get above 150, I don't believe. And so you just kind of score along like that. Very simple game. And we enjoy playing it from time to time. The last game I want to talk about is Zombie Dice. And I want to bring this up mainly because it's a very, very simple, very short game that you can play with your kids. And basically all you do is you have dice in here. And you got 3 different colors of dice. And what you do is you pick out 3 dice. And hey, I got 3 different colors right off the bat. And so you've got a green die, which is going to be your easiest one to get brains, which is actually what you are striving to get. Then you have your yellow die, which is kind of in the middle. And then you have your red die, which is easiest to get shotgun shots, which is not what you want to get because you are a zombie trying to get as many brains as you can without getting shot. And what happens is you are going to take those 3 dice and you're going to roll them. And it's a press your luck type of game. And you're going to see what's on there. Right there, I got this, which means I got 1 brain, which I can put into my bank. And I got actually 2 re-rolls, which is what's going to happen here is I'm going to replace any dice that I've set aside by grabbing another one out. And you're going to roll them again. And this time, I did not roll very lucky at all. I got 2 shots. What you're going to do is you're going to set those 2 shots aside. Now I have 2 shots and 1 brain. And this is a re-roll, which is a red, which is not very good in my favor. I'm going to have to pull 2 more out of here, plus this one, to re-roll. And if I get 1 more shot, because 3 shots is what it takes to end your round. If you get 3 shots, you lose any amount of brains that you had collected during that turn. And so what you want to do is decide, okay, do I feel safe re-rolling, or do I want to bank what I've already scored in brains? With 2 shots, I'm probably going to want to score the 1 brain I got, which isn't very good, but that's better than 0. And so what I would do is then say, I'm done. You're going to put all the dice back in there and pass it on to the next person. And they're going to roll and try and get as many as they can. The person who's able to bank 13 brains first triggers the end game. And then after that, everyone who hasn't already gone in that round gets to go one last time and try to get more than anybody else. And so let's say I decided to stop and bank at 14. I went a little bit longer trying to get an extra one because I wasn't sure if anybody's going to come up behind me. Well, everybody after me needs to try and bank enough to get them above that 14. And so that's basically how the end of the game goes. Like I said, it's a very simple game. You just roll the dice, decide when you want to bank what you've collected in brains, and hope that you bank soon enough that you don't lose everything you got that turn. And you add them up each round, and like I said, at the end of the game, person with the most brains wins. And that's about it. So a very simple game. Takes probably about 10 minutes to play, unless you just got a lot of bad luck going on, or people are just getting too greedy and not banking, and it just, the turns go longer and longer. That's about the only way you can probably get this above 15 minutes. It's a very quick game, a very easy game to learn, and that's why our kids enjoy playing it. There you have it, 7 family-friendly games that our family enjoys, and your family will probably enjoy as well. So check out some of these games, and go ahead and hit that like button, and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos, and I will catch you in the next video. But the apple has a special...